انتشاء لحد الجدد الأضرار كبيرة والمصدرة كبيرة.
This is Tajoura detention centre in Libya. It was sheltering hundreds of African migrants and refugees when it was hit by an airstrike on July 2nd. The attack killed at least 53 people and wounded many more. How could something like this happen to a migrant holding centre? The Times analysed photos, videos and satellite images of the facility, and former detainees and humanitarian observers in Libya told us grim stories of lapses on many fronts.
We've been raising the alarms about Tajoura and other detention centres for as long as the conflict started.
Anti-government forces vying for control in Libya carried out this airstrike, but the attack has shed new light on a simple fact. Thousands of migrants are now trapped in the crosshairs of a brutal civil war between the Libyan government and those rebels. And it exposes serious failures on the part of the European Union, which has outsourced some of its migration problems to a country in chaos. The EU declined our interview requests and pointed to statements calling for an investigation and for migrants to be moved. Libya has become a crossroads for Africans fleeing turmoil at home and trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. But the European Union has looked to Libya to prevent them from making the journey. It has given hundreds of millions of dollars to the Libyan Coast Guard and agencies supporting detention centres, like the one in Tajoura.
This is our detention centre. We have many here. This is our big room. It contains 500 refugees.
Overcrowding and lack of medical care in the centres has caused widespread health problems, experts say.
All the detention centres in Libya, they were built as warehouses. It's just that they've now been repurposed for, instead of storing goods, they're storing people.
And those who complained were often threatened by guards and militias that control those centres. The dire conditions inside the facilities are made even worse by what's going on outside. The most serious issue we've uncovered is that the Tajoura centre is located in a military compound, and the migrants' living quarters are less than 100 yards from what our reporting shows is a weapons depot. We can confirm that these trucks with heavy weapons were photographed inside it. Migrants have told us they were forced to work in this depot, cleaning and maintaining weapons for a pro-government militia that effectively controls the compound.
They used to take me to go and load weapons. And if I say I don't like that work, they force me or they beat me, they slap me every time.
Others say the militia forced them to take up arms. This weapons depot is key because on July 2nd it was clearly targeted by the rebels. Images of the aftermath showed damaged military vehicles and the remains of an anti-aircraft gun. The nearby detention centre was struck moments later. This security camera filmed what happened. First, the weapons depot was hit by an airstrike. Shrapnel is sent flying across the parking lot towards the migrant centre. As smoke and debris spills out, people tried to flee, but the guards stopped them, witnesses told us.
We tried to break the window. Then we broke it. And some people, they got out by the window. And suddenly the policemen began to shoot at the window. They're telling to us, go inside, go back inside.
Then, 11 minutes later, a second airstrike hits the migrant detention centre directly. Hundreds of people are confined inside. Some escape, while others try to break through a locked door to the victims on the other side. These migrants were sitting ducks for rebel airstrikes, and European officials should have known this. Why? Because some had visited the site, and the area had been targeted before. On May 7th, an airstrike hit the very same weapons depot, sending shrapnel through the roof of the migrant centre. 2 people were injured. And even before this, migrants in Libya tried to alert the public to the danger they were in. We obtained voice recordings from people being held in Tajoura and other centres.
Our detention centre is inside the military barrack. If the soldiers here fight with the enemies, we will be in problem.
The UN Refugee Agency says it has tried to move migrants away from Tripoli.
We have been asking European countries and other countries around the world to please provide evacuation slots to take as many as possible out of Libya.
Italy is the only European country that took some migrants in. The ultimate blame for the attack on Tajoura lies with Khalifa Haftar, a Libyan strongman fighting to topple the UN-backed government in Tripoli. The UN says it shared the centre's coordinates with his forces, but it didn't matter. And the Tajoura strike may be far from the last. The UN says there are 3,800 refugees and migrants in Libya still being detained in areas of active clashes. Meanwhile, the survivors in Tajoura were released by the Libyan government on July 9th. Some may be taken in by the UN, but hundreds of others walked out onto the streets of an active conflict zone, uncertain of what lay ahead.